It was almost too perfect, too appropriate to really happen. It was the stuff dreams are made of.
And here's Andre Dawson in his final trip to the plate at home this year. And look at the fans. Everybody's on their feet, giving him a standing ovation.
The last day of the season in Chicago, when I hit the home run, my last at bat, I literally got goosebumps.
Well, if there would be any poetic justice, it would call for Dawson to hit one out right now. The last appearance at home this year after a spectacular season.
The first thing probably that comes to mind is, of course, stepping up there in his last at bat and giving the fans and the players what they wanted. They wanted to see him finish the year at Wrigley with a home run.
A standing ovation on his final home appearance this year.
And the count is 3-1, and he comes and the ball is gone. And I go, no, he did not do it. I can't believe it. And then I started jumping up in my seat, and everybody's going MVP, MVP, MVP.
Bill Dawley, a big right-hander. There we go! Way back! It might be! He did it! He did it! He did it! Holy cow! Number 47. Listen to this crowd. There's the 47, and True Value Hardware happily donates another $100 to Cubs Care in the fight against chant. Look at this. Watch this. He takes his cap off. Boy, oh boy, I got goose pimples all over. They won't. He's going to have to come out and take a bow. Everybody's on their feet. Look at him. Look at the fans. Here it comes.
Naturally, the fans in the right field bleachers, Andre's Army, gave him one final salam when he took the field in the top of the ninth. They were in for the surprise of their lives. The stoic, intense hero allowed himself an emotional moment.
I vowed to one of the players that when I went back out, if they were salaming, I'd do them the favor because it was the end of the season and salam back. But that was a touching and actually thrilling moment for me.
Andre Dawson, Chicago Cubs, 1987. What a season. What a story. The good guys do win sometimes.
Andre Dawson's not only a great player, but he's probably one of the greatest human beings that ever put on a baseball uniform.
He's the kindest person you'd ever want to meet without ever saying to everybody, I'm the kindest person that you should meet.
Of course, it's easy to find people who will praise Andre Dawson. He doesn't seem to have an enemy in the world. But there is a contradiction. That menacing, intimidating scowl that he has. It is an illusion, but it can seem very real.
Well, it took a while for me to really get to know Andre Dawson. When he used to come down, when he was in Montreal, and he used to come down the first baseline, he never smiled, or it was a way where you wanted to say, hello, Andre, how you doing? He never had an expression to where it was a friendly type. But, you know, it was always the type where I'm mean, I'm mad, you know, and if you say something to me, it's going to be the last thing you say.
Durham has learned since that he got a false impression of Dawson.
He's not really like that. It's just Andre. You know, you have to really get to know Andre in order to get used to that expression that he shows every day. He's like that. I mean, he could be in his Cub uniform. He could be in a three-piece suit. He could be in swimmer trunks. That's the expression that he carries all the time, man.
In a long, relaxed conversation at Dawson's Miami home, interviewer John Callaway went to the source.
All right, so you don't smile until after the home runs are hit and after the game is over. But what are you feeling when we see that scowl on your face, that almost mean look on your face?
Well, some people said that's been a form of intimidation. Some say that it's a form of concentration. I like to think it's a form of concentration. I'm very serious when I'm out on the field, and I don't think it's a time for relaxation. letting other thinking enter your mind. That's my form of concentration, I do believe, and I'm very intense when I'm out on the playing field. I play the game just about as hard as I'm capable of playing, and try not to let up.
Teammate and friend Rick Sutdiffe will second that motion.
But I think the one thing that I remember most about Andre Dawson was on a foul fly ball down the right field line, he dives over the warm-up mounds in the bullpen, catches the ball and rolls into a concrete fence in a ball game that, if I'm not wrong, I think we were leading 10 or 12 to 1 or 2. I mean, it was a game that was out of hand. We had the game won, and there was no need to do that. But that was probably the thing that stuck out most in my mind, and this man plays hard from the first pitch of the first inning to the last pitch of whatever inning the game ends.
Swung on, a high fly ball in the right field. Dawson on the run, don't get hurt.
Oh my God.
He makes a sensation. Did he hold on to the ball? Yes. What a catch he made in the Houston bullpen. On the dead run, I was just afraid he might get hurt.
Well, you said the right thing. I was thinking the same thing. I didn't want him diving for the ball.
Dawson's entire 1987 season was, well, awesome.
And on April 22nd, you step up to the plate against the Cards. You were 0 for 10 going into that appearance at the plate, and you hit a grand slam home run. Do you remember that moment?
Yes, I do. And the pitcher was the Cardinals' top reliever, Todd Worrell. And I knew he was basically a fastball power-type pitcher. He likes to get ahead of you very early. And my thinking at the time was I was going to look first ball, fastball, and just try and hit the ball hard, not try to hit a home run. I think the score was 3-1 at the time. And he threw me a fastball right down the middle of the plate, and I just threw it in my wheelhouse.
Worrell goes into the stretch. Here's the pitch. Swung on, and there's a drive! Deep to left! Way back is called on! Gone! Grand slam home run for Andre Dawson on the first pitch from Todd Worrell. Andre Dawson picks up his first hit of the series as he drills it over the fence and left. A grand slam home run, and the Cubs lead 5-3.
What a ball.
The Cubs then traveled to Montreal, where Dawson had played his first 11 years in the big leagues.
Dawson drives this one back into center field. Nichols a long way to go, and that ball is gone. Home run for Andre Dawson. A 2-run home run, and the Cubs are on top 6-0.
Hit by a pitch ball and then popped up.
You were 7 for 12 in that series. 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 3 doubles, 6 runs. You got booed by the fans. How did you feel about that?
Well, that's a normal reaction, especially coming from the fans of Montreal when they read so many negative and distracting things during the winter. I think they were booing out of frustration in the sense that I didn't return. I rejected Montreal's 2-year offer. I had a few cheers mixed in with the booing, but it's easier to accept. I'm the opposition now, and it's a lot easier accepting boos from the opposition than your own hometown fans.
Then comes April 29th. You're 5 for 5 against the Giants.
Well, I think I needed a triple after I got the first 4 hits, and that's always the toughest hit to get when you're hitting for the cycle, because you just got to hit the ball in the right places.
On a 2-2 pitch into right center by Maldonado, all the way back to the wall, and Andre Dawson has them all. He homered in the first, doubled in the third, singled in the fourth, and he's tripled here in the sixth.
If Andre Jesus did it last for the Cubs.
The one thing that might have stood out a little bit more in that game was a play at first base where I was cheating in on the pitcher, and I get away with that a lot. I try and take away the line drive from the pitcher and hit a line drive, 1 hop to me in right field, and I was able to throw him out at first.
And the pitch swung on, and a liner into right on 1 hop in front of Dawson, who's going to throw to first. And they get him. Andre Dawson to Leon Durham, and they throw out Mason.
June 2nd, an incredible day at Wrigley Field. Third inning, just before the rain came.
The 3-2 pitch, swung on, and there's a drive hit deep to left. Way back, and that ball's gone. Goodbye. Home run for Andre Dawson on a 3-2 pitch. Unbelievable. Andre Dawson has just hit his 17th home run, a 2-run blast this time.
After a rain delay of almost 3 hours, Dawson really launched a rocket in the 7th.
Now the pitch, swung on, and there's a line shot back into left, and that ball's going to go. He missed it. He missed it. He hit a 2-run home run. Oh, he missed the cycle. That's his second home run of this game. RBIs 6 and 7 in this contest for Andre Dawson.
What is it going on? What? That's unbelievable. It really is. Let me tell you.
This was the game Rick Sutdiffe talked about. In the 6th inning, with the Cubs leading 9-1, Dawson had crashed into the bullpen wall to make a spectacular catch. Now it was the 7th inning, and the lead was 11-1.
Jackson ready. Here's a pitch. Swung on, line drive, right field. Dawson coming in. He dives for the ball, and he makes the catch. Holy cow! What more could one man do? He made a diving catch after going into the bullpen for a foul ball last inning. Don't get hurt, man.
His wife, Vanessa Dawson, was watching.
During the long rain delay game we had this past season, the Cubs were so far ahead, and it was like almost not really worth watching. And all of a sudden, a guy hits a line drive, and my husband is diving for the ball. And I go, are you crazy? I mean, I'm talking back to the television, are you really crazy? I mean, we were too far ahead, and there was no way we could have lost at that point.
Yeah, and people question why I would attempt those plays when we're leading by the margin that we were, and the field conditions being that they were. And this is just me. I play the game. If I feel that I can get my glove on it, then I'm going to try and make a play on it.
July 7th, the Padres. Eric Shaw. Do you remember?
I remember it real well. After hitting a home run in San Diego to knock him out of a game, and then they come to Chicago, and I hit a home run off of him my first at bat.
The pitch. There's a drive. Way back. It might be. It is. Another home run for Dawson. And that is 24th of the year. His 76th run batted in. Listen to this crowd.
I was sitting there after the home run, and we were just talking about, you know, things are going really good and really great. And I could see this ball coming in towards his head and him trying to get out of the way. And all of a sudden, he is down on the ground.
And when I was up at the plate, and I think it was either the bottom of the 4th or bottom of the 3rd inning, Eric threw a pitch, breaking ball down and away. And his next pitch hit me just above the left lip up and near the cheek area.
Coming into this year, Dawson just had not done much at all against this fella. A lifetime average of 091, 3 out of 33. Look out! Dawson is hit by the pitch. He got hit. Dawson hit by the pitch. It sailed up and in. He might have got it up. And Dawson is down. He did. I think he was beamed by that ball. And now Sutdiffe comes out. He's after Shaw. Truck grabs Sutdiffe, but now both benches empty as John Fierro tends to Andre Dawson at the plate.
How'd you feel about the fact that that big, tough colleague of yours, Sutcliffe, went after Shaw?
People don't understand. As a player, you are aware of when things are intentional and when they're not. And Rick was one of those guys that you respect for not only what he does, but he knows the game. And you can't convince any of those players that that wasn't a purposely knocked down pitch.
Dawson is still down. Still down. Boy, this looks terrible.
Yes, it does. Because it didn't appear as if it got the helmet. It appeared as if it didn't get the helmet.
Well, generally, if it gets that helmet, you'll hear something.
That's right.
And we didn't hear anything.
No.
I hate to say that, but we just didn't hear it.
There's some swinging going on in that pileup.
Well, Dawson have to say how much he's meant to this club, not only as a player and what he's done, but as a person.
And I had a deep laceration, and I was pretty calm. I was out of it for a while. I was pretty calm when I got on my feet. And Leon Durham made the comment that it's a shame we should have to go through stuff like this. We're supposed to be out here enjoying the game, but look at the guy's face. And that's when I sort of lost it. You know, my main concern was revenge at the time.
He hasn't moved a muscle either, gentlemen.
He's getting up.
Now he's
slowly up to his knees. And Dawson wants Chow. Dawson gets up and he's after Eric Chow. He's being restrained. And here we go again. Sutdiffe after Chow, and Galen Cisco restrained Sutdiffe. And it flares up again.
Vukovic went after him.
They're all going out now.
The umpire is telling him to get out of there, go to the clubhouse.
Yep. They're escorting Chow.
There goes Dawson.
Escorting Chow.
He's going to get him now.
Dawson is after Chow. He heads toward the dugout. Dawson heads toward the dugout and is met at the top step and is being pushed back. Chow was headed back into the dugout up the runway as Charlie Williams was pushing him off, and Dawson went after him. Well, I'll tell you, after seeing what Dickie Thon has gone through and the recent development with Dickie Thon, and from personal experience, I saw Mike Therese hit Dickie Thon, and it's certainly not anything you want to play with.
Not at all.
Because you're not only talking about a baseball game, but you're talking about a life up there and the ability to play or not to play and make a living.
And then he didn't move for a long period of time, and that's when I really, really got afraid. And all of a sudden, when he did, he somewhat collapsed, but then when he got up and all of a sudden I see him take off for Eric Chow, I mean, I was still very sad about the fact, I said, but he must be doing pretty good right now because he has the guts to get up after being beaten to take off and catch a guy.
So I was convinced that he was purposely trying to knock me down, but when you throw up and in, there's a fine line between an area where you're trying to throw and someone's head. So I was sort of tied between mixed emotions. I was angered at first, and I got a letter from him. I didn't respond to the letter, but again, it goes back to my background. I was taught to forgive. It's hard to forget.
How many stitches?
I had, I think, 21 stitches. Most of the work was done by a plastic surgeon that did a good job. He did the work from the inside mainly, and most of the stitching was done inside, and he was able to pull the scar down into the mustache.
All right, so on July 7th, you're hit by a ball traveling 90 miles an hour. You miss a few games, and on August 1st, the Phils come into town. You're at Wrigley Field. You remember that day?
Well, if that's the 3-home run day, I remember that one quite well. That was one of the hottest days that I've ever had to play, and I didn't even think that I was going to make it past the 5th inning.
He's won 1, lost 2 this year. High earned run average. The pitch. There's a drive way back. It might be. It could be. It is a home run. 3-0 Cubs.
And then I hit the home run my next time up, and then I hit another home run.
Dawson sends one deep to left center field. James back, and he'll watch this one sail out. Dawson has hit his 2nd home run of the day, a tremendous blast over the back fence, and the Cubs now lead 4-2. Andre Dawson's 30th home run of the year.
Then you start hearing things about you haven't done anything if you don't hit 3, and the fans start getting into the act, and I hit a 3rd home run, and I say, gee, it's just unbelievable, you know, to go out there under the circumstances, knowing that you can barely make it from the dugout to the outfield, and on every pitch you're just trying to reach back for something extra.
The only time he was retired, he hit into an unassisted double play. There's a drive in the left field going back near the wall. Chris James It might be. It is! A home run! Holy cow! His 31st home run! His 3rd of the game! True Value Hardware ought to donate $1,000 for a 3-home run day. Look at him. The crowd is wild. Holy cow. 3 home runs in a row. Look at Andre. He looks exhausted. What a day. Hey, here he comes and take his bow.
Think about the day that Davy Johnson wanted to check his bat. Andre brought all the bats out. He handed them all to him. 2 pitches later, he hit that pitch in the park.
So Durham is out, and here's Andre Dawson. Dawson having his bat checked by Charlie Williams. Fans were screaming to check the bat. Now Dawson is motioning for all the rest of the bats, I guess, to come out. He'll have Williams check every bat. Dawson says, here's another one. Check this one. And he's motioning for the rest of his bats to come out. Kibler will have something to say to Davy Johnson. Well, they can carry it to an extreme that makes it a little silly, and Johnson is really getting upset now. Now the pitch. There's a fly ball back into left center field. Dykstra back on the track, and that ball is gone. So Andre Dawson has just hit his 2nd home run of the year, or 2nd home run of the night. That's his 34th home run of the year, and we'll see what happens with the bat this time. Andre Dawson on a 1-2 pitch, hit it out to left center field, and it's a 3-2 ball game. Well, how about that?
The season came to an end, and there was only one mystery left. Even with his amazing numbers, could Dawson be named most valuable player in the National League, playing on a last-place team?
You know, I've seen a lot of ball players in the big leagues. I started in 1950, played till around 1968. A lot of great players like Al Kaline, Clemente. I played with Williams. I played against DiMaggio. Dawson last year had the kind of a year that these players had. Now, overall, you'd have to say that Dawson fits in with the top 20 players of all time because he had a year where he carried the Cubs. He carried them single-handed.
Dawson's season last year was the most unbelievable thing I've seen in baseball for a prolonged period. I've seen no-hitters and guys hit 3 homers in a game. But to come to the ballpark every day, watch the way Dawson went about his business, watch him just hit homer after homer when pitchers knew he was swinging for home runs.
Dawson was named MVP, finishing far ahead of runner-up Ozzie Smith of the Cardinals. You just couldn't ignore 49 homers and 137 runs batted in, plus 16 game-winning hits.
Most valuable player. You were runner-up twice. How does it feel finally to win?
It feels good. I said in a banquet that I guess the only way I'll ever win an MVP award is if I got out of Canada. I never, really doubted my ability. I felt that I was still capable of performing the way that I expected myself to perform. And it was a dream-type year. I probably won't ever have a year like that again, but I do feel, and I felt before last season started, that my better years were ahead of me.
The MVP award is now in Andre's trophy room. It has joined quite a collection, 7 Golden Gloves. That means for 7 seasons he was judged the best fielder at his position. Ordinary baseball players do not pile up honors like this, and yet after the 1986 season at Montreal, Dawson was a free agent with apparently no interested parties. He wanted to get away from the Expos. He wanted to play on natural grass. He wanted to play day games. That all spelled Wrigley Field. But the Cubs under Dallas Green didn't seem interested in a negotiation. That's when Andre and his agent Dick Moss did something astounding. They gave the Cubs a contract and said, you fill in the salary.
This is this blank, put in whatever you want figure.
This is the blank contract. And I was saying all along, I know it's a gamble on my part, and I just hope that I'm not too embarrassed by the figure that they put in. The one thing that the club had in their favor was that they could have put in the minimum and still said, well, we made him an offer. But they would have been highly criticized by media, fans, or whatever, so they didn't want to embarrass themselves.
That would have been $62,500.
Right. So I said, well, if they're respectively fair, I'm going to just honor the proposal. I'll be man enough and stand up to it. And I was a little bit disturbed, I guess, when they said $500,000, because it meant, I guess, a cut in pay, which would have been in excess of about $700,000. But I was glad that was behind me, and monetary matters, wasn't the issue. I just needed to have peace of mind. I wanted to enjoy the game again. I just needed a change in scenery.
So it paid off, didn't it?
It paid off tremendously.
Even before that, Rick Sutdiffe had indicated he would offer $100,000 of his own money if it would help bring you to Chicago?
Well, I'm still looking for that check. I always tell Rick, if you want my bank account number, you can have it at any time.
It's in the mail. All right.
Dawson really wanted to get away from that artificial turf in Montreal. He tore up his left knee playing high school football in Miami.
I was first examined by the school officials and the trainers, and they said that I probably had strained ligaments. And I knew it probably was a little bit more serious, even though I didn't know what strained ligaments was at the time. I left the school after returning from the game, and I had to walk home, and I could barely put weight on it. And that night, my brother would sleep with me, and I just, had this agonizing pain until I couldn't sleep. And the following morning, my mother took me to the hospital, and I was examined by an orthopedic surgeon who informed us that I had torn cartilage, torn ligaments, and that I would immediately have to have surgery. It did change my life drastically, I think. I didn't, after surgery itself, I was so harsh. I was so angered that I didn't go to school. I said I wasn't going to go to school with a cast on my leg. I wasn't going to go to school until I was able to have that cast removed and walk on my own 2 feet.
The injury was devastating. Andre was a slim, teenaged athlete with no discernible future in sports. After high school, he took a student loan to attend Florida A&M. He made the baseball team and finally ended up with a full scholarship. He also exploded physically. By his junior season at A&M, he was a big, strong power hitter. The Montreal Expos drafted him, not as a glamorous first-rounder. The knee made him a chancy late-round selection. His family advised him to take the offer.
So you signed. Wasn't a big signing bonus, was it, looking back?
No, it was $2,000.
And you were what draft?
I was drafted in the 11th round.
The 11th round. And we're talking to the most valuable player in the... Looking back on, how do you feel about that now, that kind of money and that kind of position, given that you're the #1 player in the game?
Well, it wasn't a lot of money. I knew that. I talked to John, one of my uncles, before the draft, and then after the draft also, and I told him what had happened, and I said, well, it's always been a childhood dream of mine to be a professional baseball player. I said, an opportunity doesn't come around but once in a lifetime. I said, I've been drafted. He says, well, Montreal is willing to give you a try, so if you feel you should accept that proposal they're making, he said, just go for it.
After 2 spectacular minor league seasons, Andre was a full-fledged big league star in Montreal. He had a brilliant run there, but as his wife Vanessa remembers, the end was bitter.
I would say the toughest time for our relationship was after the 1986 baseball season in Montreal, and he was going to be a free agent that following season. And he really didn't have an idea of where he would go, but if he wasn't really happy with the offer that Montreal had shown us, that it would not be Canada. And we talked about, well, if you're not given a contract that you really want there, what will you do? And one moment I can remember him saying that I'll play ball in Japan. And I was like, Japan? The Japan? And then at one moment he goes, well, maybe I'll retire, maybe I'll do this, and maybe I'll do that.
But when he put on that Cub uniform, things brightened up for the entire Dawson family. And family is very important in Andre's life. He grew up in Southwest Miami, the oldest of 8 children in a fatherless home. His mother worked at 2 jobs. That left a lot of character molding to his grandmother, Eunice Taylor. She did an exceptional job.
What kind of a personality did your grandmother have?
She was quiet, very open, very friendly. And from everyone that I ever hear talk about her, she was always the one type of person that was looked up to in the community. My grandmother just always said the right things, always did the right things. And as a child at that time, I, had open ears and I would always listen. She put her foot down. She set the rules. She said, this is how you do something, and no ifs, ands, and buts about it.
You say your grandmother made the rules. What were some of the rules when you were growing up?
The one thing that sticks out in my mind is that I was not going to be a kid that was in the streets. I was not going to be out after respectable hours. I had a certain time that I had to be in the house myself.
The recent lingering death of his grandmother was one of the toughest times in Andre's life.
It was tough, but I sat beside her and I just prayed at that time. I said, God, I wish you'd just come and take her. I said, you know and I know that she'll be better off with you. And it really hurts to see her go through this at this time.
Andre's dream season with the Cubs had a special purpose. It was a memorial to Eunice Taylor.
I dedicated it to my grandmother. I didn't set any goals. It was the first time in my career I wouldn't set any goals. I said I'm just going to pray and let things happen as they may. My main priority is to stay healthy and go out and just try and play every day. And I'm dedicating the season to my grandmother, and on her behalf, I just hope it's a productive one.
Andre's mother, Mattie Lou Brown, lives in Southwest Miami on the street named for her son.
Well, really, when he grew up, he was a very sensitive young kid. Well, he's always been very quiet. I never had any trouble at him, and he always tried to lead and guide the other kids.
My mother, Mattie, God bless her soul, she is the one person that I can always turn to regardless of, any crisis or anything that is going on in my life. And I respect her in my own way because, I didn't grow up with a father, and she had the responsibility of raising 8 kids without a father in the house. And I think she did a tremendous job. And, I pray and thank the Lord that I've had a mother that has been inspirational in bringing me this far.
What kind of a kid were you?
I think basically I was shy, quiet. Wasn't always the one kid that I guess in the neighborhood you stand out more so over the other kids. It took a while. I was the type that steadily developed, and I'm still, I think, basically the same quiet, shy person that I was maybe 25, 30 years ago.
Even as a young boy, Andre took on a lot of responsibility as the oldest child.
So at a very early age, you're almost kind of like a father figure.
I think so. That's what I understand now anyway. They look at me not only as a brother, but a father figure.
Kind of a caretaker. You were a helper.
Yeah.
How did you feel about taking that responsibility on at that age?
Well, they were my brothers and sisters, and being the type of person that I was, I wanted to make sure that they didn't get into anything. Kids can get into all kind of problems. I had a brother that almost overdosed on iron pills, and he was, I guess, about 4 or 5 years old, and he thought they were M&Ms, and I got in a lot of trouble because of that.
You used the term being the type of person you were, you oversaw them. What type of person were you then or now? I mean, what do you mean when you say that?
I think I was, in my own way, very close to them.
And you said in your own way. What do you mean in your own way? Is that a special way?
No, not really a special way. It's just, I guess, the makeup of me, the way I am. I'm very humble. I think I like to do more for others than I do for myself. I sort of put myself secondary.
Andre has two nicknames. He picked both of them up in his childhood. Around baseball, he's known as the Hawk. One of his uncles, John Taylor, explains how that got started.
Well, I first decided Andre would be a good athlete when he was about 9 years old. That's when we started our baseball team. And Andre played third base better than the older kids. He had played shortstop and also pitched. And I guess when he grew up about 15, when he went to senior high and went on to college, he came back. He played baseball in the summertime. And I had an uncle who was, I guess, one of the better pitchers around here in the Miami area. And he tried to throw a fastball encouraged by Andre, and he never could throw a fastball by him. So he gave Andre the name Hawk because he had a hawk eye, and that's how Andre got the name of Hawk, you know.
His family nickname is Pudgy, something he definitely is not. His mother has that story.
He got the nickname Pudgy from a friend of ours. We live behind each other, and when he was a little boy, he would come and get him and put him on his shoulder, and he started calling him Pudgy.
This quiet, shy young boy had a dream about what he wanted to do with his life.
Andre, can you go back and recall for us when you first had the notion that you wanted to be a baseball player?
I think it started at a very early age. I started playing when I was 9 years old, and I guess the only thing I can ever recall was wanting to be a professional baseball player. But I think I started to seriously get that notion when I was in junior high school.
Is it true that you were batting rocks at some point in your early life?
Well, I did that, I guess, as late as a couple of years ago. That was something I think that helped my hand-eye coordination. I would use broom or mop handles, and I would break the other end off and use it as a bat or as what we called back at that time a stick that we used for stickball, and I would toss rocks into the air and hit them.
Did you actually hit rocks into people's houses and things like that?
I think I broke a few windows. I actually broke someone's windshield one time. And again, I was a kid, naive about it. The only thing I wanted to do was play baseball.
Another uncle, Curtis Taylor, saw the talent early.
I finally realized that Andre was an exceptional athlete when he was about 8 years old. I had established a couple of teams, and the boys were 10, 12 years old, and Andre was only 8. And he stood us on. He played as well as most of the boys who were 12 years old.
Andre was a teenager during the racially turbulent 60s. He remembers major events and emotional reactions, but he also remembers making his own judgments.
I was in junior high school, and we had the Martin Luther King assassination. I think a lot of kids were doing things that they saw on television. We saw the riots, whatnot, as a result of his tragedy on television, and it carried over, you know, to us and then to the school system. And you know, I think we were reacting. We reacted the way that we did because of the influence of television, and it was a tough time growing up. But I think at that time, everyone had to be their own individual. Everyone wasn't involved. There were a lot of kids that didn't participate, that sort of stayed back and watched what was going on.
Were you one of those?
I was sort of in between. I gradually realized what I was doing, and in my own way tried to back away from it.
What do you mean back away from what?
Back away from being an actual participant. I think as a kid, at that age, I had to visualize why I was doing what I was doing, and it was because of influence. You know, I didn't have to go out and be a participant in this. It was just that you were being urged on by your peers. This is what has to be done, and are you with us or are you not?
You've always been able to resist, it seems to me, peer pressure. You don't smoke, you don't drink. Weren't you terribly pressured to do that?
I've been around people that have had drug problems. I've been around people that have had drinking problems. I've been around people that were very violent, that would break and enter other folks' property. You know, as a kid, I witnessed it all, but you know, it just never really got over with me. I never really was in a position where something like that would just take control of me. I've always been the one to try and adapt to day in and day out, make the adaptation as to what I'm doing or what has to be done.
As he grew into a young man, Andre found a girl he liked. Her name was Vanessa Turner.
Well, I don't really remember how we really met. We sort of grew up together, so we sort of knew each other somewhat. And he decided to ask me out on a date, and it went on from there. And next thing, we were engaged, and all of a sudden, dun 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 dun.
I was invited to the opening of the Coconut Grove Playhouse, and I invited Vanessa out. We talked for a while, and things just started to happen, but it was a slow process.
I would have to say I have a pretty good husband, a very loving husband. During certain times during the season, he'll go on road trips, and he'll come back with gifts for me, and it doesn't even have to be my birthday or a special day. He'll just say, oh, I just thought I'd bring you something. I thought this was really cute. And then I'll go, what did I do to deserve this?
What does she mean to you?
Well, you know, without her, I don't really know where I'd be today. She means the world to me. You know, I put my family first, and I put baseball second there, because that's something I've been blessed with. That's something that I've achieved a lot of success in being in that game over the years. But there's a saying that, you know, you're only as successful as the people that stand behind you. And she's stood behind me. She's my third leg. That's why I think she's the world to me.
Vanessa does wonder sometimes what might have happened to her if Andre had not come along.
If I wasn't married to Andre today, I think I would have a career in broadcasting. I always wanted to be a sports announcer or a television person. I just wanted some attention myself. So all of a sudden we kind of switched feet, and it's Andre Dawson, and I am Mrs. Dawson. But I did go ahead and, you know, I went to college and I graduated in communications, radio, and television, and that may be something that I can fall back on, and maybe he's opened a few doors for me.
Despite his unusual 1987 contract with the Cubs, Andre Dawson has made a lot of money playing baseball, but wealth and fame do not seem to have much effect on him.
Andre's fame has not changed him, and I guess it can sort of go back to his upbringing, because we were sort of like an extended family.
We still live like normal people. We could have some of the nicer things in life, having a housekeeper that lives in and a chauffeur to drive us around. But my husband is very average. He thinks that I should do all of these things myself and still look very pretty and be very accommodating to him. And I think sometimes that he's a little bit abnormal.
It's clear that Dawson likes to stay with the basics. That includes a punishing off-season physical regimen. This is a public batting cage at a park in Miami. He goes there often. But unlike most of the customers, he revs the pitching machine up to 90 miles an hour. He isn't interested in putting on a power show for the onlookers. He wants to sharpen his reflexes and get ready for the real thing.
I think you got to work even harder during the off-season than you do during the season. My formal workouts, exercise consist of some aerobic work, stretch and trim classes. That is, I try and stay away from the running part of it. I'll take Nautilus training, some free weights with my forearms, wrists, biceps, and triceps. And you got to do a lot of stretching. The lower part of my body, I usually sort of concentrate more or less with the Nautilus to strengthen the hamstrings, the quadriceps, to try and protect, strengthen the area around the joints.
Before leaving for spring training, Andre visited his old high school in Miami. He was honored when they named the baseball field after him. The school was honored several years ago when he donated a batting cage to the athletic department.
What are you standing there for? Get! Stand there and look at the ball.
See what the camera do for you, Coach?
Dawson seems to enjoy himself most in a baseball environment. It's his theater. It's where he's appreciated by his peers. One of them is Rick Sutdiffe.
When I think of Andre Dawson, I'd have to say the very first thing that comes to mind is respect. I've played this game for a long time. I've played with a lot of tremendous baseball players and tremendous people, but there's very few people in this game that I respect both on the field and off the field. And really, as far as Rick Sutdiffe's concerned, that's the ultimate compliment I can give anyone.
Dawson's best friend in baseball is Tim Raines of the Expos. Raines named his second son after Andre. A few years ago, Raines had a drug problem, and Andre stuck by him.
Well, I didn't really want to get into his personal life too much. I felt if he wanted to talk to it, he knew I was always available. And I just tried to be that shoulder that he could lean on. My main source of comfort was that I didn't want the media to get to him. I didn't want him to put any undue pressure on himself. And I think he handled it real well. He was the one player that admitted that he had a problem and was willing to go and have something done about it. So in my opinion, he was a man. There are a lot of players that do have problems and aren't man enough to come forward.
Timmy was in town. The Expos were in town to play the Cubbies, and we decided to have Timmy over one evening. And we were on our way out to one of the local restaurants. We were just having a conversation, driving along, and Tim, we call him Rock also, he says, homie. That's what he refers to Andre as. Who do you love, her or me? And my husband looks at Timmy, and he looks at Vanessa, and he couldn't really give him an answer.
Andre's a pretty lovable person. The fans at Wrigley Field poured out their admiration and respect all last season. The feeling was mutual.
I just like to personally thank the fans of Chicago, especially for this past season. And in your own way, you were a great impact on the production that came out of last season. It's enjoyable. It's much easier to go out and perform when you got fans that are very much in supportive of you. And I do sincerely feel, and I've said all along, this without a doubt is the greatest fans that I've ever come in contact with.
It's come to this. We're at the bottom of the ninth. 2 out, 2 on. Andre Dawson at the plate. He's digging in. The crowd's behind him. The windup, the pitch. That's hit. There she goes. Back, back, back. Hey, hey! He's a hero. Celebrating hero. As we've heard from many experts and seen for ourselves, Andre Dawson is one of the best baseball players ever. Here in his own words and actions are the fundamentals of how he plays the game.
When I step into the batter's box, I assume a comfortable stance. My feet are slightly spread apart, my hands held away from my body, and I have a very light to firm grip on the bat. As the pitch approaches the plate, I have a short stride toward the pitcher himself. My weight is transferred once my hips come through the strike zone. The bat head goes all the way through the strike zone. Before I swing, I have a short backswing that allows me to generate my power, and I throw the bat head through the strike zone. I'm a firm believer that quickness is what generates power. You should always keep your head still and have your eyes focused in the strike zone itself.
Comfortable stance, weight transfer, bat quickness, head still.
As a right fielder, when I'm on defense, I assume a comfortable stance with the weight on my toes. You should always be prepared to either break in, break back, or either break to your left or right. You should always think ahead and know what you're going to do once the ball is hit to you.
Weight balanced. Break any direction. Think ahead.
With a runner on base and a ground ball hit to me in right field, I'll charge the ball as hard as I can and break down about 10 feet or so from the ball itself with my body under control and take 2 crow hops with my weight distributed back and try and get as much thrust behind the ball going back to the infield.
Charge ball, body control, thrust on throw.
With the runner on third and less than 2 outs, I make sure I circle the ball, get behind it, keep my weight behind the ball. I'll catch the ball on the throwing hand side. I'm always alert that my hand is near the glove.
Get behind ball, keep weight back, favor throwing side. We're almost through now, but the Dawson story is not over by a long shot. It's going to continue. Dawson will remain a totally dedicated athlete and a quiet, down-to-earth model citizen.
We all know that Andre Dawson is a great player. Why is he a great player? I'll tell you why. His work habits are outstanding. You have to be around a guy all the time to realize how hard you have to work to be a great player. He does great work in the clubhouse with the players. He also has to take care of his knees, the problems that he has with injuries. He goes out on the field in practice and works twice as hard as any other outfielder, which means for me as an outfield coach makes it easy. Then the rest of the young players, great example to them, his work habits.
He's not any different this year than he was last year. He's too old to change now. He's over 30 years old. He is a nice person. He's always going to be a nice person.
Well, at this point, I know that I can't change him because he's the same person that I met 10 years ago.
We hope you have a wonderful career and a wonderful life. How do you want to be remembered?
Well, how do I want to be remembered? When I'm asked that question, I have several things that sort of go through my mind. But I'm an avid individual when it comes to working with kids. I like to be a part of their development of their upbringing. I want to be, remembered as a baseball player as the one who I take the game very seriously, and I don't look at it as a job, though. I look at it as something I enjoy doing, and I just get paid for doing it. I'm not, the smartest player living, the smartest individual living, but I'm smart when I'm out there on the playing field. And I get a big kick, out of winning. Winning isn't everything, but winning is very important to me. And I love the game.
They're already starting. They're just warming up. Yeah. They're tuning the booze. 3 balls, 1 strike. Now the pitch. Andre swings and a drive deep to left center. That ball is gone. He hit it out of the park on a 3-1 pitch. And here's another standing ovation for Andre Dawson. He did it on a 3-1 pitch. Dawson just connected. That's number 47. Unbelievable. Standing ovation for Andre Dawson as he circles the bases. What a season for Andre Dawson.
great for Andre, but the fans deserved it because they wanted it so badly, and they deserve it.
Andre Dawson hitting his 47th home run. They're still on their feet. They want a curtain call from Andre.
This will be great here.
Durham steps out of the batter's box, and he's watching the moment. Bob Engel steps away from the plate, takes off his mask. The fans are calling for Andre. Even the Cardinal fans are on their feet as Andre Dawson comes out for a tip of the cap. What a great moment for Andre Dawson.
Every person here thrilled, even though they're a Cardinal fan also, with that great performance.